Good morning. If you're just joining, welcome to Sumo Logic's Cloud SIEM live webinar. We're just going to take a couple of minutes just while the attendees are joining, and then obviously we'll make a start. Good morning, everyone. We're just giving everyone a couple of minutes to join the webinar, and then we'll make an immediate start. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on this morning's Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM live webinar. This is a monthly event that we do, obviously, to bring our customers and prospects up to date in terms of obviously the developments with our Cloud SIEM product. So I'm Challis. We are recording the webinar, and we will, if time allows, have a short period of time for some questions towards the end. If you, while I'm speaking, would like to leave some questions, you should find on the webinar taskbar a little Q&A, question and answer button. If you'd just like to click on that and jot down your question, and as I said, towards the end, time allowing, we'll get through as many of those questions as we can. So we've got 30 minutes allocated, and let's get going and get you guys onto into your next meeting in time. So yeah, the basic premise really for the webinar is that security operations must change. Really the three main drivers for this is, first of all, so-called digital transformation. So the movement of workloads usually to cloud type infrastructures. But one of the statistics that we collect informs us that actually cloud migration to the cloud, or spending on migration to the cloud, is actually growing at 6 times the pace of general IT spending. And 3 out of 4 of every security team we've surveyed agree that their cloud infrastructure generates far more data, far more alerts than they do with their equivalent on-premise environments, and simply that the legacy tools, security tools and SIEMs that security operations are using are really just not adapting and keeping up. They leave blind spots, which obviously, when you're looking to secure anything, creates issues. So the second major premise here is obviously a shift in the threat landscape that goes with this shift of workloads to the cloud. So 67% of security professionals that we survey said that they've seen an increase in terms of the volume of the alerts that they're having to deal with, and also the types of alerts they're having to deal with in terms of evolving threats. And really what's driving this is obviously several things. First of all, simple misconfigurations in your cloud infrastructure can lead to quite a major security breach. The fact that we're sending more and more data to be analyzed from more and more sources, mobile devices, IoT. Often many organizations are not running one cloud environment, but they're often running multiple cloud environments to give them some visibility and some options, or they may even be running a so-called hybrid cloud environment. They're also deploying new types of technologies to run their applications. So things like containers and other modern application services. And then finally, and probably the most important driver here, is the fact that the reality of security operations is no longer a human scale problem, and the vast majority, so over 80% of the security teams that we speak to, cite alert fatigue as being a tremendous impact in terms of the long-term viability and sustainability of the security teams. And 75% of these customers say they'd need to hire 3 or more analysts in order to deal with the increased load from alerts that they're seeing as part of this digital transformation. So let's talk a little bit about what Sumo Logic can do to help with our cloud SIEM solution. So first and foremost, we have this concept of automated insights. So this allows us to fully automate the alert triage process, meaning that your level 1 analysts don't need to spend hours, minutes, days in some cases putting together incidents for your incident response teams. This is obviously accelerating the time it takes organizations and reducing the overall mean time to detection and response. Cloud native scalability. So one of the great things about being a cloud native SaaS is that you can send us whatever data you need to send us whenever you want to. It's our job, obviously, to scale up the infrastructure and ensure that we continue to collect and process your data in near real time. We do that in a very economical way. So we offer you choices. You don't have to store all of your data in a simple volume-based model. You can choose tiers, so-called data tiers, in order to store the most relevant type of data in the most cost-effective way. And when we're looking at into the future, and the huge growth in data that we're seeing, it's reassuring to know that we here at Sumo Logic scan somewhere around about 800 petabytes of data a day across all of our customers. We do all this with a single platform, so it's not just about having a cloud SIEM tool, but we also have metrics and general log analytics for your DevOps, IT ops, your security, your site reliability engineers. And we bring all of this together through a single streamlined user interface that allows, obviously, the correct constituent organizations the tools that they need. And so Cloud SIEM really provides a lens, if you like, a security analyst's view into the data that we're collecting. And we do this across all types of clouds. So AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and we also have capabilities to collect and analyze data from some of the second tier players as well as private cloud platforms as well. Finally, and probably one of the most important aspects of the Cloud SIEM product is the fact that we offer a rapid time to value. So we're extremely easy to use. The vast majority of our customers are up and running and getting some value in terms of analytics of the data, really simply in a couple of days. So we support somewhere around about 200 different products from 100 different vendors. And we're able to analyze data using somewhere around about 500 different rules. Obviously, this is all growing on a daily basis. So let's talk a little bit about some news. So I'm sure you guys are aware that Gartner have just published their 2021 Magic Quadrant for SIEM. And the great news for Sumo Logic and our customers is that we've been named on the Magic Quadrant as a visionary. And you're able to access the Magic Quadrant through the link that you can see on the screen here, and my colleague will hopefully post in the chat for you to visit. If you visit that link and sign up, you'll be able to download and read a copy of the Gartner Magic Quadrant for this year, and understand why Sumo Logic was named as a visionary, and how you can obviously leverage Sumo for both your security operations, your SIEM and security operations center use cases, as well as more general security analytics and operations use cases. The final thing is I'd also encourage you to go and visit while you're or after you've viewed the report, Gartner Peer Insights. So you can obviously learn from the Gartner Peer Insights what our customers think about the product as well. So what our strengths and our weaknesses are. We'll touch in just a second in the demo on one of the specific things that Gartner highlighted in this year's Magic Quadrant. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to flip over to the demo. Just give me. Okay, so what you can see on the screen here is what we call our head-up display. So this is, as I mentioned, this is Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM. This is a dedicated, streamlined user interface aimed at security analysts and folks that are obviously operating as part of security operations centers. So the head-up display here is all about situational awareness. The first thing that you notice in the middle, excuse me, in the middle of the screen here is what we call the Insight Radar. And the Insight Radar is simply charting over the period of time. At the moment, we're looking at this 24-hour period, but it's charting these three statistics in the top left-hand corner. Records, so this is the rate at which we are collecting and normalizing log data. So different vendors call this different things, but records are a normalized version that we use for correlation. And for the first stage of correlation, we generate what are called signals. So this is the output of our Sumo Logic correlation engine, our rules-based correlation engine. And this is where most SIEMs leave you. They leave you with some simple correlation rules in order to do the data reduction you need to elevate the most risky series of, or the most risky detections. And unfortunately, as you can see here, in the 24-hour period, we've got 84,000 different detections in our demo environment. And this is the piece that's really leading to tier one alert fatigue. So the fact that there are just so many pieces of data that sifting through that data and making sense of it has become, well, as I said earlier, it used to be done by human beings, but it's no longer really a human scale problem. But unfortunately, as I said, this is where most legacy SIEM tools leave you. They might not call them signals, they might call them correlated events, or maybe normalized or notable events or alerts. But yeah, they leave you with essentially a mountain of needles to sift through. And this is really where we start to bring some of our innovative technology into play in the form of insights. And so what we do with insights, the goal of insights, if you like, is to accelerate, to automate tier one alert triage, so that when you guys as analysts start work, you don't have to go through that long, tedious alert triage process in order to collect together related events. So we're doing that automatically for you. We're collecting together signals into clusters, essentially, and we perform that clustering essentially around any attribute available in the normalized schema. But it's typically things like IP addresses, host names, usernames. As I said, don't have to be that. We've just launched a feature that enables you to compare and cluster around, as I said, any aspect of the Cloud SIEM schema. So we're actually also starting to explore using this for particular malware outbreaks or particular malicious URLs. It's a very easy and comfortable way of collecting together those detections. The Insight Radar is charting the record count is this dark outside ring. The inner histogram here is charting the level of signals that are being generated over time. And then each of the 7 insights is represented on the Insight Radar using a colored triangle, and the coloring of the triangle represents obviously the status of each of these insights, with red being new and green being closed. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 7 insights that have been generated here. This particular view here typically would be used by a SOC manager, maybe to move cases around between different queues or levels in the SOC. As you can see here, we have all of our new insights being generated, and then being assigned as either being in progress or then escalated to our special operations team. So these are Sumo Logic value adds, which allows us to use some industry experts to augment your security operations and provide their expertise for threat hunting and those types of things. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look here at this, this first insight here, Insight 2994, Command and Control with Execution. Before I dive in, just a couple of things to highlight here. We see this particular entity is a username, so Deb Smith. So here we have some detections which are clustered around around Deb and her activities in the environment. You also see that we've collected together 3 individual signals or unique signals. So we're deduplicating signals under the hood here. And then we're also providing you with obviously a severity of the insight, but also what we call global confidence. So this is one of the things that Gartner highlighted as one of the benefits of Cloud SIEM. The fact, because we are a cloud native SaaS, that we're able to look across all of our customers. It gives us cross-customer visibility and insight into the behaviors that, that are happening in the environment, in each of the individual environments. But more importantly, it allows us to share the knowledge, the learnings that we make through this global confidence feature and have all of our customers benefit from these learnings. So this is a machine learning based approach. As you can see, it scores a value between 0, so no confidence in the reliability of the insight, all the way up to 100%. And as we can see here, Insight 2994 is giving us a global confidence score of 95. So we can be pretty sure, based on other customer activity and also past activity in this environment, so your analysts opening, working on and closing insights, and we can be pretty sure with a global confidence of 95 score here that this is really something that we need to go in and look at. So with my analyst hat on here, I'm going to come in and we're going to walk you through Insight 2994. So the first thing that you notice at the top here is command and control with execution. So these are indeed related to MITRE attack tactics. So each of the underlying signals or detections that make up an insight is labeled with MITRE attack tactics. And in this particular case, we're dealing with 3 individual signals, 3 unique signals that span command and control, execution, and you can see the MITRE attack tactics, and also indeed where relevant MITRE attack techniques, which are tagged as part of the metadata associated with this insight here. I can also, as an analyst, come in here and leave comments. So as we can see, one of my colleagues here is Michael is actually already escalated this through our ServiceNow integration here. But I'm also just going to leave a note here that I'm investigating. And then, as you can see over time, as your analysts begin to work on insights, their activities are kept in a little audit trail we have there. As I begin working on the insight, it obviously would be a good practice to go ahead and assign it as being in progress. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to myself. And then really, before I dive into the detail of the investigation, I really just want to understand a little bit more about our entity here, Deb Smith. So one of the great things we're able to do is to walk identity stores, so things like Active Directory, extract the metadata associated with usernames or computers from the environment, and then present this through this little pop-up here. And this is really all about obviously orientating the analyst as they begin their investigation. So we can see here Deb Smith is in our development team. And if I need to ping her an email, I've got all of her details or her email address available there. So as I said, it really helps me understand. So I'm now coming at this from the perspective, this is a developer. And then the actual details of this particular incident, that we can first of all see the signals charted in the insight timeline here. So each of these chevrons here, these blue chevrons, represent individual signals that are collected or clustered as part of this particular insight. And this allows us to see the progression of the attack over time. And as we begin our investigation, what we're able to do is get an overview of each of these three signals. So we can see, first of all, we've got a threat intel match. So one of the, again, nice things that's really easy to do with Cloud SIEM is to integrate with any commercial threat intel provider through Stix or Taxi or through some proprietary type client. But so we have here, first of all, a threat intel hit warning us that this particular user, Deb, is accessing a known threat intel domain. We have our Zscaler products warning us that there was a detection of an elevated which had an elevated risk score. And then finally, one of our EDR tools here, Sentinel-1, is giving us an indication that it's detected a malicious keylogger. And as we can see, the period of time that this spans is several hours here. So one of the challenges with traditional or legacy correlation engines is correlating events over long periods of time. Again, this is something that we help you solve using the insight feature. And what insights are able to do is to cluster these detections, these signals, over a much longer period of time that you're able to typically use a rules-based correlation engine. So by default, we're looking over or looking back over a period of 14 days or 2 weeks, and we're looking to join together or cluster these detections over that extended period of time. As you get into the detail of the investigation, you probably want to expand out and first of all get a little bit more detail. So this is not showing us all of the detail of the signal, but each of these fields here has been favorited. So it pulls it up, it elevates it up to this more detailed view. Obviously it allows you, the analyst, to get the most important information that they need to establish whether this is indeed an incident that they need to get into incident response mode for. And then finally, as you begin to really dive into the details, what you're able to do is to click into and get all of the detail associated with, in this particular case, this is the Sentinel-1 signal that you can see here. So we see a description of the actual signal itself. So from the rule engine, why was this signal generated? We have all of the rule expression that was used to generate the rule. You have a hot link to the rule itself. So if you want to go in and fine tune or maybe create a new version of this rule, you can do that directly from this rule details hot link here. We have obviously the information available from Active Directory around Deb Smith. But then all of the detail that you see here, as I mentioned earlier, the detail that's shown at the top of a signal here comes from each of these favorited fields. And you can come in here and obviously choose which fields are most convenient for you based on the data source itself. And then if we scroll down to the very bottom of this particular signal, we have all of the original data that appeared. So nowadays, most security data sources, not all, but a vast majority of them often send data in JSON. So there's often a lot of additional data which is perhaps not necessary to normalize, but provides tremendous insight and value to an analyst as they perform their investigation. And so all of those original fields from this Sentinel-1 event are all available here for the analyst to provide some additional insight. So for example, they can see that they're dealing with Windows 10 Enterprise and the service pack level, and obviously the path to the file which was causing this this keylogger detection. So obviously, as you go through your incident response process, you remediate this particular incident, you get to the end of that. During that process, it may well be that you decide, if it is an ongoing incident, that you want to send it out to, for example, a SOAR for remediation. So in case you missed it, Sumo Logic has just acquired a SOAR vendor called DF Labs. And so we're busy, obviously, integrating their product into our security offerings at the moment. But one of the things you could, for example, do is choose an action here, perhaps to remediate this particular incident by going out and triggering a playbook in the Cloud SOAR product to go and block this particular user. Obviously, once you've finished the remediation process, you really just need to finish up the workflow. And the reason this has really become even more important here, obviously, most organizations want to keep some KPIs, some key metrics around their SOC. So mean time to detection, to remediate, those types of things. So that obviously is driven by closing out insights at the end of the process. But the other thing that's now driven from this is this global confidence that I was talking about here. So what we're doing is we're looking across all of the customers. So using the cloud native SaaS, we're able to look globally across all of our customers, and we're using what we learn from those customers, closing out particular insights and the signals that are involved, as well as your own activity in your own local instance. To derive this global confidence score. So we're learning based on the activities of your security analyst as well as community's security analyst. So I'm just going to finish off by closing out this particular insight here. And then that will obviously go towards improving the model for the global confidence that we're providing here as part of the insight. Okay, so just looking at time, I think we've got a few minutes left to do some Q&A. Just before I do that, very, very quickly. So everything I've shown you so far is obviously been product. It's not just about products, about process and people as well. We're able obviously to support your process and your people either through professional services or through a dedicated technical account manager as part of our premium support offering, or finally, I mentioned it earlier, we have what we call our special operations or spec ops team. So these are a hand-picked elite team of cyber analysts that have been taken from some of the top organizations in the world, commercial, military, intelligence. And these guys are available on demand as an extension to your team when you need them. And we can either support as well as mentor your team with the latest knowledge of the threat landscape and obviously activities that we're learning from other customers. So without any further ado, if you do have questions, let me see here. There is one question here. So the question that's been posted is, how do we integrate our log sources onto the SIEM platform? So great question here. If you're already a Sumo Logic user, you quite simply, once you have the Cloud SIEM console enabled as part of your instance, you quite simply need to just select a checkbox in your collector configuration to say processing in Cloud SIEM, and that sends the data obviously across into the Security Analytics Cloud SIEM console and allows you obviously to see all of the correlation and insight generation that we saw earlier. So thank you very much. That's a good question. What other questions have we got here as well? So is Cloud SIEM a separate product? So no, Cloud SIEM is, as I've mentioned, is essentially a lens into the data that you're collecting as part of what we call the continuous intelligence platform, which is the core Sumo Logic product. So it's really providing you with a streamlined security analyst interface into the security data. Obviously, as you've seen, it helps you drive a workflow and manage and monitor that workflow as part of a security operations or a SOC type process. So thank you for that. How are we doing for time? Okay, we've probably got time for one more question here. Let me just have a look here. So, best question of the lot. How much does it cost? So, so you can check our website. There is a pricing link available on it, which obviously gives you an overview of our pricing. But really, if you'd like to get some bespoke pricing which is tailored to your use cases and your data sources, then obviously we'd encourage you to either speak to one of our partners or contact one of our Sumo Logic sales account managers, and we will obviously engage with you and understand a little bit about what you're trying to achieve. Whether you need Cloud SIEM or maybe whether you'd benefit from our new Cloud SOAR product, and then obviously we can do with pricing as well. And then one final question that's just come in here is an on-prem implementation available? And so we're able to collect data from on-premise environments, but the entire system operates as a cloud native SaaS. So the data, once it's collected from an on-premise environment, is processed in one of our security tested and accredited data centers worldwide. So thank you very much, and I hope that answers that final question. And so thank you really for your attention today. Just one, I guess, one reminder to go and take a look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant for SIEM, and find out why Gartner have placed Sumo Logic as a visionary vendor as part of that Magic Quadrant. But also, I just wanted to mention and say thank you to SC Magazine. So we just recently won an award from those guys, pardon me, as well for our Cloud SIEM products as well. So thank you very much for your attention today. I hope you found the session useful, and obviously we will be back here again next month, giving you guys an overview of other parts of the product. So thank you very much for your attention this morning, and yes, have a great rest of the day.